You open your credit card statement. There's a number at the top that says minimum payment due. It's small, it's manageable. You pay it and you feel responsible. But that's not how it works. That small number isn't a courtesy. It's a trap, engineered to keep you paying for years, sometimes decades, on a purchase you barely remember making. And once you understand how it works, you'll never look at that number the same way again. Let's start with what a minimum payment actually is. It's the smallest amount your lender will accept without penalizing you. It's not designed to pay off your debt. It's designed to keep you in debt, legally, quietly, and profitably. Every credit card company calculates this number using a formula, and that formula is built around one goal: extending your relationship with interest for as long as possible.
Here's the part nobody tells you. If you have a balance of $5,000 on a card with a typical interest rate and you only pay the minimum each month, it can take you over 15 years to pay it off. 15 years! For a balance that might have started as a vacation, a few nice dinners, or a slightly too expensive couch. And by the time you're done, you may have paid double, sometimes triple the original amount. Not in fees, in interest. Quiet, compounding interest that never stops working against you. Why does this happen? Because minimum payments are structured so that a large portion goes toward interest first, and only a small sliver touches the actual balance, the principal. Early on, you might pay $100, and $80 of it disappears into interest. Only $20 actually reduces what you owe. So even though you're paying every single month, your debt barely moves. It's like walking on a treadmill and thinking you're making progress toward a destination. Does this feel familiar? Have you ever paid on a card for months and felt like the balance never really changed? That's not bad luck. That's the system working exactly as designed. Now, here's where it gets more interesting and a little uncomfortable. This isn't a design flaw. It's not an accident of the lending industry. It's a deliberate psychological strategy. Behavioral economists have studied this for years, and the findings are consistent. When people see a low minimum payment option, they anchor to it. Even when they can afford to pay more, they subconsciously treat the minimum as the normal amount to pay. Researchers call this the anchoring effect, and credit card companies know it works. The mere presence of a low number on your statement changes your behavior, even if you never intended to pay only that amount. Think about that for a second. The number itself is a nudge, not a suggestion, not neutral information, a carefully placed psychological lever, pulling you toward paying less, so the debt lasts longer, so the interests keep compounding, so the profit keeps flowing to whoever issued you that card.
You might be thinking, but isn't it my responsibility to pay more if I can? And yes, in a sense, it is. But responsibility only works when people have accurate information and clear incentives to act on it. Minimum payments obscure both. They make debt feel smaller than it is. They make progress feel real when it isn't. And they exploit a basic truth about human psychology. We are wired to take the path of least resistance, especially when we're tired, busy, or stressed about a dozen other financial obligations at once. This is where the deeper reframe comes in. You've probably been taught that debt is a math problem. Pay it off, reduce the balance, watch the number shrink. But debt isn't just math. It's behavioral. It's emotional. It's designed by people who understand exactly how your brain responds to small numbers, deferred consequences, and the comfort of doing the bare minimum. Debt companies aren't just lending you money. They're managing your psychology, one statement at a time.
So what actually breaks this cycle? The first shift isn't financial, it's perceptual. You have to stop seeing the minimum payment as a target and start seeing it as a floor, the absolute least you're allowed to do, not the amount you're supposed to do. Once you separate those two ideas in your mind, the entire relationship with the number changes. The second shift is understanding amortization, the way your payments get split between interest and principal. Every extra dollar you throw at your balance above the minimum goes almost entirely toward the principal, because the interest portion is already covered. This means extra payments have a compounding effect in your favor. The same force that works against you when you only pay the minimum works for you when you pay more. Even an extra $20 or $50 a month can cut years off your repayment timeline and save you hundreds, sometimes thousands in interest.
There's another counterintuitive truth here. Paying off debt fast isn't actually about willpower. It's about removing the decision entirely. People who successfully escape the minimum payment trap don't rely on remembering to pay more. They automate it. They set a fixed payment amount above the minimum on the same day every month, so the choice is made once and never has to be made again. Willpower is unreliable. Systems are not. Let's talk about the twist, the part most people never consider. Minimum payments don't just cost you money, they cost you a distorted sense of financial safety. When your statement shows a manageable number, your brain interprets that as low risk. You feel like things are under control, even while the underlying balance grows or stays dangerously flat. This false sense of security is arguably more damaging than the interest itself, because it prevents the urgency that would otherwise push you to act.
Consider two people with identical $5,000 balances. One pays only the minimum, month after month, feeling responsible because the payment clears every time. The other pays double the minimum, uncomfortable at first, but with a clear plan. 5 years later, the first person still owes more than half the original balance. The second person is debt-free and has redirected that same monthly payment into savings. Same starting point, same income bracket in many cases. Completely different outcomes. Not because of luck, not because of income, but because of a single decision about which number to treat as normal. Why does this matter beyond one credit card? Because the minimum payment mindset doesn't stay contained to debt. It bleeds into how you think about savings, about investing, about every long-term financial decision you make. If you're trained to accept the smallest acceptable action as sufficient, you'll do the same thing with your retirement contributions, your emergency fund, your investments. Minimums become a habit, not just a number on a screen.
The people who build real financial security understand something the rest of us often miss. Every financial system you interact with, banks, card companies, even some retirement platforms, has an interest in you doing the minimum. Not because they wish you harm, but because the minimum is where their profit lives. Your job isn't to be angry at this. It's to recognize it and then to consistently choose the amount that serves you, not the amount that's simply easiest to click. So here's the real question to sit with. The next time you see that small number on your statement, will you treat it as the goal or as the floor beneath something bigger you're capable of paying? Because the difference between those two mindsets isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in years of your life spent paying for decisions you made a long time ago. You open your credit card statement. There's a number at the top that says minimum payment due. This time, you know exactly what it is. Not a suggestion of what to pay. A quiet invitation to stay in debt just a little longer. And now, you know how to say no.